It's time for the starts and sits for Week 5 Fantasy Football here, brought to you by Climb the Pocket. It's the last week to enter for a chance to win this signed Dionate Johnson football. All you need to do is subscribe to the channel and drop a way to contact you in the comments if you were to win. Winner will be announced next week, so don't miss next week's video. Now on to Week 5. Here is our success rate with our starts and sits through Week 4, and we will be continuing to monitor our hits and misses throughout the season. Now, let's get into the start quarterbacks. Our must-start quarterbacks for Week 5 are Matthew Stafford, Sam Darnold, Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers, Ryan Tannehill, and our under-the-radar quarterback for Week 5 is Trey Lance at Arizona. Is it finally time, people? We've been waiting for the day that Lance will get to quarterback the Niners, and an injury to Jimmy G in Week 4 is going to make it happen this Sunday. Lance only played 2 quarters on Sunday and still finished with 20 fantasy points, tossing for 2 scores and adding 41 yards on the ground. The rushing game is what really makes Lance so enticing in Week 5. In a game against the Cardinals, whose defense has been playing great, look for Lance to scramble plenty of times to make plays using his feet and hopefully lead you to a top 12 finish. Our must-sit quarterbacks for Week 5 are Carson Wentz, Ben Roethlisberger, Taylor Heineke, Baker Mayfield, Jared Goff. And our beware of the bust quarterback for Week 5 is Derek Carr at Chicago. Derek Carr finally came back to earth on Monday night, finishing the week as QB 25. There's no doubt Carr has been an incredible fantasy asset this year thus far, but I think it's time things level out for the Raiders quarterback. They faced Chicago this week, who held the Lions in check last week, forcing Goff into a QB 22 finish, and Baker Mayfield a QB 18 finish in Week 3. Their struggles in the Raider rushing attack is going to force Carr to make low percentage passes that I think the Chicago defense can handle. And let's not forget about the weapons in their defensive front. Temper expectations on Carr this week. Now on to the running back position. Our must-start running backs for Week 5 are James Robinson, Zach Moss, Leonard Fournette, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Darrell Henderson. And our under-the-radar running back for Week 5 is SAMAJE PERINE versus Green Bay. Certainly not a household name, but someone we've seen flashes from in spot games in his earlier career. SAMAJE PERINE is lined up to see the bulk of the running back snaps for the Bengals if Joe Mixon isn't able to go on Sunday. He offers the best pass protection on the team at the position, as he frequently finds himself in the game on third down, even with a healthy Mixon. What's intriguing about PERINE is the opportunity he may have this week in the passing game that could deliver a fine fantasy week for the veteran. If Mixon is unable to go, PERINE is an above-average flex for Week 5. Our must-sit running backs for Week 5 are Myles Gaskin, Michael Carter, Chuba Hubbard, Trey Sermon, Kenyon Drake. And our beware of the bust running back for Week 5 is Antonio Gibson versus New Orleans. Gibson has certainly not returned expected value when you took him in the second round of your drafts this year, but he hasn't been awful. The most disappointing thing is his snap percentage versus veteran teammate J.D. McKissic. The two backs have been in a pretty even timeshare through 4 weeks, with the slight edge going to Gibson. But his lack of involvement in the passing game while McKissic shines in it really holds him back from breaking through to the next level of elite fantasy running backs. This week's matchup against the Saints is a rough one, as they have only allowed 50 rushing yards a game along with 2 touchdowns, something Gibson needs if he's going to salvage a decent fantasy day in Week 5. Beware of the bust. Now on to the wide receiver position. Our must-start wide receivers for Week 5 are Brandon Cooks, Jacoby Myers, Marvin Jones, Corey Davis, Devonta Smith. And our under-the-radar wide receiver for Week 5 is Marquise Brown versus Indianapolis. Brown has been on fire in the touchdown category in 2021, finding the end zone in 3 of his 4 games. In the game he didn't score, he dropped 2 dimes in the end zone from Lamar Jackson that would have skyrocketed his fantasy finish. In our opinion, Lamar looks to be back to his MVP self when it comes to the passing game, throwing the ball effortlessly with accuracy and targeting Hollywood quite often. Brown currently is inside the top 30 in targets for wide receivers. It finally looks like he has made the jump into a dependable option on Sunday for both the Ravens and for fantasy managers. The Colts are a middle-of-the-pack matchup for wide receivers, but have surrendered a league-high 8 touchdowns to the position. Look for him to find the end zone in Week 5. Our must-sit wide receivers for Week 5 are Marquez Callaway, Juju Smith-Schuster, Kenny Golladay, Jalen Waddle, Rondale Moore. And our beware of the bust wide receiver for Week 5 is Courtland Sutton at Pittsburgh. Although the Steelers are not as bad of a matchup for wide receivers this year as they were in years past, this Denver offense is going to struggle as long as Teddy Bridgewater is out with injury. Drew Lock just isn't it, and our confidence in him being able to deliver the football to Sutton and other Denver wideouts often and accurately just is not high. We thought Sutton was breaking back onto the scene with a huge Week 2 performance, but he's coming off 2 down weeks with both less than 50 yards receiving. The quarterback situation definitely doesn't help, so we're sitting Sutton down until Teddy is back in the lineup. Now on to the tight end position. Our must-start tight ends for Week 5 are Kyle Pitts, Dawson Knox, Hunter Henry, Jared Cook, Dallas Goedert. And our under-the-radar tight end for Week 5 is Maxx Williams versus San Francisco. A trustworthy tight end in Arizona finally? Could it be true? Well, nothing is certain yet, but Williams has been a valuable asset to this offense thus far in 2021. With 2 tight end 1 finishes so far, it's definitely encouraging given the offense the Cardinals are rolling out every week. 5 targets in Week 4 along with 11 in his previous 3, he has to be on your radar for Week 5 against one of the Cardinals' division rivals. If you're in a deeper league, Maxx Williams is not the worst you could do, especially with the targets he has been seeing from MVP frontrunner Kyler Murray. Our must-sit tight ends for Week 5 are Mike Gesicki, CJ Uzomah, Robert Tonyan, Austin Hooper, Evan Ingram. And our beware the bust tight end for Week 5 is Noah Fant at Pittsburgh. Noah Fant has been a pleasant surprise in 2021, currently sitting at tight end 8. Look, we all know the talent and know what type of numbers he can put up on any given Sunday. But once again in Denver, there are questions at quarterback. Fant is definitely not a lock, no pun intended, to fail in Week 5 against Pittsburgh. There just isn't much confidence for this game to have much offense on both sides of the football, and that doesn't bode well for any offensive player. You may still be starting Fant, but temper your expectations. Thanks again for joining us on another edition of Stardom Situm here on the Climb the Pocket YouTube channel. Do not forget to subscribe, like the video, and drop away in the comments for us to contact you to win this signed Dionate Johnson football winner to be announced next week. Let's continue to make educated decisions and go get a W.